show that cuts to the truth no matter how painful it might be, and no BS. Citizen Smith, Citizen Smith, Citizen Smith.
Here's a man who would not take it anymore. A man who stood up against the scum, the dogs, the filth. Here is someone who stood up.
It's time for Citizen Smith.
Hey, what's going on this morning? Hey, it's Tuesday. We're doing a show.
We call that a pop-up out of nowhere.
Well, actually, we said last week we were going to go Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day, weekdays. So that's where we're at. Gonna try, right? We're going to keep it going. Ambitious. Or did you not realize that? You did. Portland, Oregon, TalkCast PDX. You got to stay on top of the issues. You just can't do a 3-day-a-week issue show. That's just the way it works. You got to be here Monday through Friday talking about the issues because things are happening fast. We're chatting live, too, here, right? So you can weigh in on the conversation. If you have an opinion, chatteroo, bring it in, type it up. We'll show it. We'll talk about it. We'll get back to our call-in format in due time, but right now we're just going to keep it to chat. I got an itchy nose today. I can't stop itching my damn nose. Over the weekend, Saturday, my discovery of Portland, this beautiful city that I live in the Northwest, took me to Park Avenue. And Park Avenue, like the name implies, has a wonderful park strip that goes through the entire city almost. It's beautiful. It's like the Boston Commons and the Boston Public Gardens that follows Beacon Street and goes through that part of town. I just finally came upon it. I hadn't, walked that far. That's where the museum is, the Museum of Fine Arts, and very nice neighborhood. I think that's where I want to live in the future. I like that area. It's classy. It's quiet.
What happened to Lake Oswego?
Nah,
That was your dream.
I'm going to live in Park Avenue now. And they got a wonderful farmer's market that I found out there. And it's big. It's got a lot of vendors and food being made. So it's right around the park, so it's really nice to walk. And it's on the road, but it goes around the park. And I saw the most delicious produce of vegetables that I've ever seen. Just spectacular. All local grown. You don't see those kind of vegetables in other places. Oregon, I think, has the best vegetables grown locally. And honey and syrup, whatever. They make it all, and they grow it all. From the South Coast all the way through the central region. I mean, this is agricultural land. When you drive through Oregon, there's a lot of farms. There's wineries. Hazelnuts. It's the capital of hazelnut growing, which I just found out when you, Justin, brought it to my attention.
Lots going on.
They were very expensive, too, hazelnuts.
Yes, they are.
They were at the farmer's market. But the vegetables there blew me away. I mean, they were so lush and big and green, and they had all varieties. And so I'm going to go there every Saturday and just load up on vegetables. That's the thing that really stood out. And the food that they're cooking there, a plethora of cuisines. I had a Xi'an, a baked pastry with ground lamb and then lamb skewers, spicy lamb skewers. Just like Xi'an in China when I was there. Was spot on. The food would just blow me away. I could have, you have to exercise self-control when you walk around these markets. So I just scouted out that day. But this coming Saturday, I'm going to have a backpack, bags, and I'm going to be ready to rock and roll. And then I'm going to take the streetcar out of there for the first time so that I don't have to walk back to Central East Side over the bridge.
What's your mission?
For what?
I mean, when you go to the market, is it to,
vegetables? Buy vegetables.
Just vegetables?
Well, I got to be honest with you. Anything could happen. You know, it could be a vendor that blows me away that's selling some sort of gamed meat, which I always like. But I have to be restrictive in my choices because I have to carry it. So I'm limited. I don't want to drive my car over there. Although it is a possibility. The parking's a little tight. I just hate driving in this town. I don't like it at all.
It sucks.
I'll take the streetcar back. Although I'm not sure how frequently it is running by, but whatever. You just wait, right? And they have the streetcar, and then they have the longer train,
The Max.
the Max, that goes all the way to Gresham, but that also goes through my neighborhood.
Yeah, you're actually in a good spot.
But that's not as frequent.
It's actually probably more frequent.
It is?
Yeah, I think it's like every 12 minutes or something like that, the train.
The Max is?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to figure that one out. This will be a
I think the
day
closest station to you is the Moda Center for the Max.
across from my apartment.
No, it's not. It's down the street a little bit. You would take the streetcar to the Max and then hop on the Max.
I'm worried I'll get on the train and be going in the wrong direction and end up somewhere else in the state. But there's only one. It's north and south, or east and west. It goes to Gresham or it goes to the other side.
Well, the Max will go to the airport. It'll go to Gresham. It'll go.
See, I'll get on the wrong one. I'll get on the wrong one. End up at the airport.
Well, you have like the blue line, the red line, and then the green and orange line.
I need a local to help me out with this one. You know, I don't trust myself. The map's hard to read. It's really confusing. I'll give it a shot. Whatever. What's the worst that can happen? End up at the airport instead of Gresham direction. But then again, I can't believe the streetcar isn't as frequent as the Max. It seems like that would be more frequent.
The streetcar is frequent. It just goes in different directions. One goes, one way, and the other goes the other way. So,
but either way, they go around. They pass each other in the same.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
you can't
from
go
time to
wrong in that one. Eventually, I will end up in the central east side of my neighborhood.
Yeah, eventually you'll get to where you got to go.
But it could be a while, right? It could
Yeah,
be
it
a
doesn't-
lengthy ride.
it's not a very long ride.
Not long.
No,
I'm thinking that's the way to go instead of the Max.
I didn't drive in this town for a really, really long time. I mean, the only time I drove is when I had a late night radio job. So I didn't want to take the train at 1 a.m.
Welcome to Portland. It's I'm sure more convenient than I've experienced. I've just been walking everywhere. It's easy enough to walk to town. But when I have a bunch of groceries and vegetables and meats, they also have a lot of nuts. One guy made this fantastic popcorn. It's like this fresh made popcorn. It was black Denmark corn. Like what? Black Denmark popcorn? I bought it and I couldn't stop eating. I couldn't stop eating the popcorn.
It sounds pretty bougie.
It's fantastic. I'm telling you, get the craziest, most exotic stuff at this market. It's just fantastic. It's the best I've ever seen. I've been in Orlando and seen great markets. I've been in New England, of course, and seen markets. But this one downtown, it's right by the wealthy neighborhood and the hillside, and you get the best. And there's people playing music. There's all the park benches so you can relax. It's just a wonderful atmosphere. You've got the big trees everywhere, so it's nice and shaded. Fantastic. Just a great place to hang out.
Yeah, you could probably do heroin there, too. Great place to hide. I'm kidding around.
It's just such a negative comment.
I'm kidding around.
I
walked,
you're not a city kid anymore. You don't live in the city.
Well, I worked downtown for a really long time, and I was walking around there not too long ago, and still boarded up in certain spots, but everywhere I went on the park strip there was just needles and.
Well, it's not like that anymore. I walked the whole park strip, and I can tell you it was fine. There was one guy playing on the park bench a really great guitar and had a wonderful voice and was singing. I just sat down to relax while I got free music from this really great musician. There's not a needle to be found. The place is clean. It looks fantastic. God damn it, give Portland its dues. They've done a good job in certain areas cleaning up. And the park strip is one of them, the Park Avenue. Fantastic. You walked around. I was at the museum. Outside, people enjoying some wine in the terrace.
Nice.
There's some wonderful stores. It was fantastic. It was a really relaxed, friendly, wonderful environment. Summer has arrived. The city is alive and well and bustling. And there's tourists. They're coming everywhere. The museum's open of fine arts. I didn't go in them, but I'm planning on visiting. The weather's getting beautiful. Look at the forecast coming up. This is time to visit Portland.
That's nice. Very nice. Yeah, hopefully there'll be some
79 on Wednesday, all sunny. 82, 84, 90, 82, 81. Sunny for like the next 10 days. This is the time to visit Portland, Oregon. I told my mother she should come out in August. I'm going to sail her up in a nice downtown hotel for a couple of days, take her to some nice eateries, the farmer's market, and then head to the coast. Can you do any better than that? No. What we could do better at, though, is getting some water to farms. Tuesday, June 8th, this is going last week, but Oregon Governor Kate Brown, she signed an executive order declaring a state of drought emergency. Now, I've been talking about this on the show. She's declared Jefferson and Deschutes County in a drought, which I drove through that whole area Memorial Day weekend, and you could see the reservoirs are down dramatically. Like where they should have water, it's like a mile of beach. This is going to go on all summer. They're saying this could be the record year for lack of precipitation in Oregon. And, of course, going into California. And we're talking into Nevada. We're talking a whole western region of the country is heading towards a historic drought that is now right on top of us. She'll be declaring more counties. I'm sure they've already been declared in a drought emergency. And there's a lot of farmland, like I said. And I don't know how these farmers are going to get their water. How are you going to get local irrigators to cooperate when each one is trying to survive? Good luck with that one. I like this quote. I'm encouraged to hear, Brown continues, that local irrigators in these two counties are working together to seek creative solutions around sharing available water. Well, what are those creative solutions? I'm going to dig a ditch, drain the water to my farm so you can't get it? Because you know how it gets when you get farmers side by side and one's getting more water than the other, it becomes a heated war for water. And then you've got the fisheries, and then you've got... She's painting a positive picture, but the real picture is going to be every man for himself. I mean, when you don't have water, where do you get it? Nowhere. Your farm dries up. Or like when I was talking to the gentleman from the native tribe down in Klamath, the Klamath Tribe Council member, says that farmers are going into the well waters. So that's how bad it's going to get. Farmers live in constant fear, says Jefferson County Commissioner Kelly Simmelink. Quote, some have told me they're terrified, and I don't know what the hell to do for them. That's Kate Brown's like, rosy picture, and everybody's going to cooperate. No, that's the real picture. That was a politician talking like it should be talked. County Commissioner. No holds barred on that comment. So we'll just keep an eye on this drought situation. Like to interview somebody. Better yet, if I got ambitious, get out there to some of the farmers that are in the drought. Talk to them about how they're going to survive the year. I bring this up on the heels of talking about the farmers market because I'm wondering, like all those local farmers, I guess they're not having the problem that, massive farms are having, in commercial agricultural farms. I would think the local farmers on the small scale are okay, but they could be rationing water towards them too. So I'm going to keep an eye on the farmers market, see how I saw plenty of beautiful vegetables in this last one, but I'm wondering, is it going to be like a quick hit? You see them in the month of June and July, you just don't see them anymore. So get your vegetables now. Right? That could be the case.
Get your squash.
Certain things come out later in the year than others, so But so now's the time to get your kale or your whatever they had. These lettuce and all that good
Wait till
stuff.
the corn comes. I mean, the corn's just starting to sprout out in Forest Grove, out in Banks area.
And they got good corn here too.
Really good, and there's fields of it.
Sweet corn. I thought New England had the best corn, but I'll tell you, this Oregon corn, it's top notch. I came across this story, and I just wanted to share it since we're talking about food. Anthony Bourdain, who people say killed himself, you and I think that something more nefarious took
Something
place.
fishy there, man.
After we see this documentary that comes out, maybe we won't think so conspiracy-wise, but it'll reveal more about Mr. Bourdain's final year and life as this fascinating documentary is coming out by filmmaker Morgan Neville. He began making a documentary on Anthony Bourdain, the late chef and globe-trotting television host. He came up with a playlist of 18 and a half hours long and called it Tony. Neville, the director of the Fred Rogers portrait, Won't You Be My Neighbor, and the Oscar-winning 20 Feet from Stardom, which I watched both of those documentaries, and they were both great. Now he's doing this one on Bourdain. It's going to be called Roadrunner, a film about Anthony Bourdain, celebration of his life, not a forensic inquiry, not a eulogy, as it says in this AP article that I'm reading. So he started filming this in the fall of 2019, just before Bourdain's death, and just after, June 2018, by suicide. And they say that the Roadrunner premiered over the weekend at the Tribeca Festival, days after the 3-year anniversary of Bourdain's death. But it's coming out to theaters July 16th. Focus Features will be releasing it. Roadrunner. Interesting. They're going to be sending it out to the theaters. It's not going direct to streaming or anything. That's good. I like to see that.
Yeah, they've been doing that a lot lately. The direct-to-streaming thing.
Yeah, but now with the theaters opening up, they're getting out to the movie theaters again with their movies. I like to see a documentary on the big screen. It's just more intimate. Yeah. I like the feeling of the theater. So I'm really looking forward to this because I'm a big Anthony Bourdain fan, and when I was in China when he killed himself, and I was just stunned. But like everybody,
sure,
found dead at 61 years of age in his hotel room in Strasbourg, France.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Neville, the director here and filmmaker, spent the first months in the film not even dealing with Bourdain's final chapter. When he did finally turn to it, he found no easy answers. Quote, "The way I came to think of it is Tony was an ultimate searcher and a seeker," says Neville. "But if you are really always seeking, always curious, then you can get lost." He had this tattoo that he got late in life that said in Greek, quote, "I am certain of nothing." That sounds very zen, as the reporter writes here, but it's also a little sad. Oh, this is the quote still. "If you're truly certain of nothing and always looking for something, it means you're leaving everything behind at every moment." I think for Tony, that rootless ultimately disconnected him from the things he should be certain about, like the love of people around him, end quote. So this should be a very emotional, revealing documentary. Again, it comes out July 17th, and of course I will review it.
Yeah, that's a while away, but yeah.
Well, I've been waiting for something.
Sure.
I don't think anything else has come out. I mean, they did think of something on the Discovery Channel or wherever his show had been showing, and but nobody's come out with an in-depth profile of him since his death, and now we've got one.
Yeah, it's about time.
Lastly, I just wanted to talk about a little politics here. President Biden, for the G7 meeting, which is concluded, and while he was there, he asked all the G7 members in NATO to step up to safeguard against the dangers of Russia and China. And it was a really high-profile part of the agenda. And I think this is a huge story that came out of the G7. You know, the last time they met, they didn't even talk about China. They weren't even really on the... It wasn't that... But now, because of China is emerging as a military might, now our fundamental shift is going away from places like the Middle East, and now the attention for the alliance is devoted to China and Russia. As it says from the article from Brussels the other day in the New York Times, China's rising military ambitions are presenting NATO with challenges that must be addressed. The 30-nation Western Alliance said Monday, the first time it has portrayed the expanding reach and capabilities of the Chinese armed forces such a potentially confrontational way. They're saying, the rhetoric they're using at the Group of Seven meeting is, we have to protect democracy from authoritarianism. Autocratic rule like China is not the way of the world. It poses security threats, they say. They use the word China's challenges, whereas Russia was portrayed as a threat. I think that's being easy with the words, but China's just as much a threat as Russia to democracy, to America, and to the Western world, in the way we operate freely in our freedoms. Biden said, quote, the democratic values that undergird our alliance are under increasing pressure, both internally and externally. This is from a Monday evening summit meeting press conference. Quote, Russia and China are both seeking to drive a wedge in our transatlantic solidarity. And as I said, Russia is repeatedly referred to as a threat to NATO in the document that they drew up from all the 30 members of NATO, which says it's cautious in its characterization of China. Because China is a very important economic force in Europe and the world, whereas Russia isn't. You know, they get some great caviar, but other than that, I don't really know what we get from, you know, the Russian economy. But China is interwoven into the economy of the world. They get too much leverage there. So we're hoping that conflict is avoided. But when you hear China always acting like they're ready to go to war with America, which they've been using that terminology since the pandemic, whether it's their ambassador speaking or somebody from the Hawk group or their own state media, they're constantly threatening America with war. Oh, they landed a U.S. Air Force plane on Taiwan to deliver vaccines. That's an act of provocation, and we will destroy the plane and all the people.
They say shit
and the
like
airstrip.
that. They say shit like that all the time, don't they?
With that kind of talk, you're talk leads to action. China has sent ships into the Mediterranean and through the Arctic. Are we talking about blowing them up out of the water because they did that? We don't say that. They've been conducting military exercises with Russia in NATO's backyard, built bases in Africa, and owns significant infrastructure in Europe, including the Greek port of Piraeus. China's army has hacked computers to steal industrial and military secrets all over the globe and engaged in disinformation in NATO societies. And with its effort to deploy 5G network across Africa, the Middle East, and Europe, Huawei, the Chinese telecommunications giant, has created new anxiety that it could control the communications infrastructure needed by NATO. So, with this said, NATO promises to engage China with a view to defending the security interests of the alliance, and said it planned to increase partnerships with more countries in the Indo-Pacific. And finally, and this is the end of the G7 talk by me, much further into this document that NATO drew up, the communique, they say China comes up again and described as presenting, quote, systemic challenges to, quote, rules-based international order. Of course, the Chinese didn't like what
I was just going to say.
NATO
They probably didn't
communique
like
says.
that,
No,
did
they didn't like it. They said it was a slander of China's peaceful development, a misjudgment of the international situation in its own role, and a continuation of the Cold War mentality. That
Jesus.
this is big. You know, this is the greatest challenge in America's history. Really, I'm going to go that far.
I mean, their economy is, based on knockoffs of American stuff for the most part, I feel like.
Well, we went there and made everything, and then they copied it.
Yeah. It was our own fault.
Well, we never thought that they would get to a point where they would actually be landing on Mars with their own rover, challenging us with new nuclear weapons built up. We didn't see that coming, and they went unfettered. So you've got a major military challenge. They talk of war with America. They talk of war with Taiwan, taking over the island. They talk of war with India. They talk of war with Vietnam for the waters surrounding it in the South China Sea.
Jeez. What a bully.
And they have the military might to pull off any of what they talk about for the first time in their history in the world.
I see if that happens, there's going to be some serious activity.
So we're relocating our Navy to the South China Sea. We're working more with Japan for military buildup. All this lends itself to what could possibly be down the road World War III. That would be the most drastic, serious altercation that the whole world is drawn into a war because of Russia and China aligning themselves against the rest of the world, which is happening. Am I being too severe on this and serious, or is this a possibility? World War III.
It's like something out of a bad 80s movie.
You know, we love to fight each other, right? We don't know how to live peacefully. Why should we start now? The fight for fishing grounds, natural resources. That's what's lent itself to all the other wars. It's disturbing. And as one admiral, I think it was in the Navy, said, it's almost inevitable. Or he didn't say almost, it's inevitable, a conflict between America, a war between America and China because of the South China Sea. That's the kind of talk that's been going on this year. I read everything about China-American relations, military news. This is the kind of talk that's been going on. We're on a collision course. And the current leadership in China is dead set on being a world power that dominates the world and replaces America. That's the talk that's going on in China. They're not just talking about being a strong country economically and militarily. They're talking about we want to now lead the world. And America is, as they said in the meeting in Alaska, going down. Democracy is failing. And China is rising. So I talk a lot about it on this show, and I will continue to, because it's the most seriously pressing security issue, challenge economically to America since we founded the country. We've been ruling the roost for many decades, since World War II. But there's a new rooster rising. In this case, a dragon.
Cock-a-doodle-doo. You said dragon. I was all ready to do the rooster. So.
Well, there you go. That's today's China segment. And hey, the G7 meeting, the NATO conference, I mean, this was important stuff that came out of there. There was some serious talk about how to deal with China and Russia. This was the first time that everybody got together on the same page and said, yeah, you know what? It's time to get active. And that was a good thing. To be continued. And that's it for today's Tuesday show. Talk to you tomorrow, because we're every day, Monday through Friday, Citizen Smith, a show that cuts to the truth.